And good morning and welcome to Yarn Lane. I am so excited for today's Yarn Lane. I've been speaking to Emma from In the Woolshed for quite a while now, and it seemed like forever before she was coming on, and now she's on today. So the lovely Mark Francis from, who you all know from Sewing Street, was on the Sewing Bee. She's his neighbour, and he phoned me and said, you need to have Emma on. I said, okay, we'll do it. But I'm really excited. So before we meet Emma, let me just talk about shopping on Yarn Lane, just so you know. If you want to buy any of the products that we've got, because we've got quite a few different things for you today, you need to go on to www.yarnlane.com. Click on Watch Live. Look, you can see there. Now, if you scroll down, you can see all the products, all the kits. So we've got kits and yarn, and we've got a few of the different needles and tools that you need to knit these. So Emma's going to be talking us through how she dyes the yarn, and then she's going to be talking through the kits. So this isn't just any old dyed yarn. This is all British wool, and Emma dyes it herself, and it's amazing. I mean, it's just like, well, I hope you can see the colours on TV in the same way that I can. I mean, it is soft, it's glorious, it looks natural. It looks like you sort of picked it out of a hedgerow, because it is natural, but it has that feel. Aren't they beautiful? I mean, if you were to buy something knitted with one of these yarns from a shop, I mean, you would pay an absolute premium for them. They are beautiful. So we've got several kits. I'm going to show you the first one because Emma's lent me, not allowed to keep it. The beautiful Cheddar shawl. It's really long and really big. Now this one, I mean, look how, it's just lovely. It's like sort of almost corrugated. I got it on the wrong way around.
Actually, that is the right way, but I prefer the black because it's got that beautiful texture to it.
It's almost sort of like corrugated, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's warm and squishy and lovely. So the kit for this one, this is called the Cheddar shawl, and this one is in ocean green.
Ocean green.
Ocean green. So in the kit you get three hanks.
Yeah.
I'm just getting Emma to remind me. I've got so many different things here. So in the kit for the Cheddar shawl, which in the ocean green, and look how long it is. You know, this is the sort of thing that you can wear in the winter underneath or on top of your coat to keep you warm. You can wear it in bed around your shoulders when you're sitting in bed with a cup of tea. You can wear it in, you can't hear me now because I've covered up my mic. Sorry. Oh, not only that, I've got it caught. Oh, well, that's that then. I'll have to keep it now. No, but I have actually seriously got it caught. It's all right now. It's all right. Panic over. I can see Elliot looking really panicky, so I've got it caught. But it's the sort of thing you could also wear in the summer over a summer dress, just over your shoulders in the evening. So it's kind of all year round shawl,
it is,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So the kit for this is on screen at the moment. So this is the ocean green. You get the full pattern, everything you need, all the information you need to create the shawl. You get 3 hanks of these beautiful, you can see it's almost multicoloured, and in a minute I'm going to be talking to Emma and she's going to explain how she dyes it, why it's so special and why you really want it. And I love the pattern. It is almost like, it's like those things you put eggs in.
Yeah.
What are those
Egg
things?
boxes.
Egg boxes, you know, but those big trays.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it? So, but you know, if you went into one of those lovely little kind of National Trust type boutiques, you'd pay hundreds of pounds for one of these, wouldn't you? It's beautiful. We've got an image here. There's the kit. So you can see the kit there. And so you get all the instructions and the 3 glorious balls of yarn. We've also got it in it's called Logwood Gray, which is a really
subtle lavender,
soft
really, isn't it?
lavender mauvey colour, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not grey at all. It's like a purpley mauvey lavender colour, but it does look like you've picked it out of a hedgerow. It could be sort of sloes, pale coloured sloes, or no. I'm just clearing my desk a bit. So with it, obviously, you get Emma's full instructions, exactly how to make it, exactly the shawl that I'm making. Emma's got a sample of it with her, so she'll show you in a minute. And then you get the 3 100-gram hanks of this beautiful yarn, which you know, you won't just, this is all natural British wool. It's just beautiful. I like the fact that it is dyed by Emma in her shed. It's very real. You waited a minute, we'll see. I just want to finish off going through the kits, and then you'll be able to see what she creates whilst I'm wearing my shawl. We've also got a beautiful Bolero, or Bolero, depending on what you call it, which Emma is currently wearing, so she'll show you that in a minute. It's lovely. It is made from, there are 3 colourways. So the first one is Indigo. And this yarn, I mean, it's like fairy yarn. It's like gossamer light. It's actually kid mohair and silk. I mean, it's kid mohair and silk. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It is like, it's almost sort of fluffy around the edges, but it's so fine. Let me just pull out a small strand and then you can see. It's amazing quality, isn't it? And it is so fine and luxurious, but you can tell it's hand dyed. There's nothing, there's no factory printed over this at all, is there? This is just beautiful. So you can buy it in that beautiful indigo shade, which is a really sort of soft blue. The other colourway is the Cochineal Smoky Pink, which is a really beautiful, dusty, smoky pink colour. It's beautiful, isn't it? But, you know, if you've got a special occasion that you're going to and you want to, you know, show off something, you want to wear something really beautiful, you'll see it in a minute with Emma wearing it. That's beautiful. I love that pink. It's a very unusual shade. It's almost got a bit of grey in it as well, hasn't it? It feels like a slightly pink and grey. And then the final colour, well, this one is called Logwood Gray as well.
Yes.
So it's got the same colour name as the purpley shade from the shawl, but because it's a different yarn, it comes out a different colour because it has that real natural finish to it. It's lovely, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful yarn. So those are the 3 below. We need to get through this quickly. We've got a lot to talk about. But we've also, I asked Emma if we could also sell the yarn on its own as a sock yarn. So what Emma's done is she's also, if you buy a hank of the sock yarn, she has given us a sock pattern to go with it. So you can use the hank for anything you want. It's a 100 gram hank, but there is enough in there to make a pair of socks. And you get a free pattern, really. So let me show you what, this is the Shibori Indigo, and that's what they knit. I love these socks. Aren't they great? They just sort of like randomly change colour, but they're ever so soft. Are they nice to wear?
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. And they wash up well. It's a super wash, so it will go in the machine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll go in the machine.
Oh, that's really nice, isn't it? It's a beautiful yarn. So this yarn is either the Shibori Indigo, which looks like this. Okay. I mean, it's a 4-ply yarn from the Blue Face Leicester sheep, which we know is a really strong, hard-wearing yarn. Yeah. It's extremely soft, though.
Yes.
When you think hard-wearing, you think...
Yeah, Blue Face Leicester gives merino a good run for its money with its softness levels.
Oh, really?
I think it does anyway. I think it's a very sort of underestimated yarn.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely love it. I knit with it in DK, 4-ply,
right.
everything, yeah, and Aran weight, so it's beautiful
It
yarn.
is, it's extremely soft, because, I mean, I know that Blue Face Leicester is very strong, but it is so...
Yes.
And it's really nice, isn't it? It's a really lovely, I mean, what we're trying to do on Yarn Lane is use a lot of sort of the smaller suppliers, the people who do things naturally, who it's their own business. Because it's really important to support, you know, British suppliers and the British industry at the moment. And with Emma's yarns, they're just beautiful. I love this blue. The other colour we've got is the Logwood Gray, which is purple. But it's called Logwood Gray, which Emma will explain to us in a minute. So there's your 100 gram hank. Is that coming up on the screen now? Yeah, $22.99 for 100 grams, which is more than enough to knit a pair of socks. And that's what let me lay it down, what that looks like as socks. But it is, I mean, Emma's it's, what's amazing, I mean, I guess, you know, it's so intense for a natural dye, but then, you know, there are a lot of things in the world that are, you know, think of a blackberry that's so intense, but it is incredibly strong. And then the final colour is the ocean green. It's like, well, I feel with the natural dyes, they just sort of fit into the environment better, don't they? Now, what Emma's going to explain to us, this is the joy of the natural dyes, is that The ocean green, which is used to knit this socks and knit the shawl that I am currently wearing, this is a sample now, because none of these colours comes out the same. So when you get your hank of ocean green, whether you're buying the sock or whether you're buying the shawl, it's a different colour depending on what point it was dyed. Which doesn't that show? So if you've got something that you want to knit in a 4-ply, these are available singly, but obviously you can multi-buy. Look how the colours change. So you've got this one that's got quite an intense colour, and then that one that's got a bit of a lighter in it. But it shows, doesn't it? This is nothing, has not ever seen the inside of a factory. This is totally natural dyed, using British wool. It's soft, it's quality, it's beautiful. I just love it. But what I'm really interested to know is, how do you do it? So, welcome, Emma.
Hello. Hi.
It's really nice to have you on air. So lovely.
Thank you for having me.
So, how did you start off in dyeing yarn?
I can't really... well, basically, I've been hand spinning since I was 16 years old, and I can't quite remember what took me to natural dyes, but it has always been there. I haven't ever used chemical dye in my life. I wouldn't know how to use a chemical dye. It's all natural dyes. I remember being at university doing accountancy, believe it or not, but I'd got a spinning wheel, and in the kitchen there was always a pot on the go with something inside that I was dipping fleece in and messing around. So that's how it all started for me with the natural dyes. Yeah.
Oh, and Emma's wearing the Bolero, because I promised you could see, there's Emma wearing the Logwood.
Yes,
the Logwood Bolero. So you can see how beautifully fine and soft it is. That's so lovely. That's a really good value, actually, £32.40 for the kit for that.
It is, yeah, it is.
Because that's
brilliant.
mohair.
Yes, it is, mohair and silk. Yeah, and although it's, very fine, it is actually super warm. It is really lovely. So, yeah, perfect. You can layer it up, wear it in the summer, wear it to a nice evening out or something.
Yeah, that's
when we're allowed to.
When we're allowed to, but we will be by then.
Yes, we will be.
We're hoping.
Yes.
So how does this all start then? When you start the dyeing, what do you start with?
Right. Okay. So one of the most important elements to it is actually the mordanting of the yarn, which is the fixing agent. So you need a fixing agent between your dye stuff and your fibre. So I'm just going to rummage in here actually to bring out a natural. So this is the.
So where do you get the yarn from?
So it all comes from Yorkshire.
Okay.
Up north. So this is
Yorkshire sheep.
Yeah, Yorkshire, and this is undyed Blueface Leicester, which we've got the kits.
So that's how we start.
That's how we start.
Right.
So we have actually got our own flock of sheep, which is how we started off. Ooh. So my sister married the farmer.
Handily.
Thank goodness. And they've got a flock of sheep and called Llynns, which are based on the Llyn Peninsula of North Wales.
Right.
So we've got a lovely connection to North Wales. I've had a family holiday home up there since I was a kid, and so that is a really lovely connection. They've got the flock of sheep in Kenilworth, and it is actually a really hardy wool, a typical British wool. They obviously sheep for the meat, and I take a waste product, so that would actually be thrown on the compost heap or burnt.
That's a very lovely waste product.
Yeah, so I took it and I started hand spinning it, and then we went down to a mill and it came back in hanks for me to dye up and all the rest of it. But because it's such a hardy, it mainly was used for the carpet industry. It's a hardy, it's an outer garment yarn. Right. So I started then looking at softer yarns, and Blueface Leicester was one of them. I also work with Wensleydales and other lovely yarns, but the Blueface Leicester came up as one that works really well. So I still sell the Llyn yarn that's naturally dyed, but probably Blueface Leicester sells a lot better than it. So from this hank, I will then soak it at least for 24 hours before I do anything with it.
Just in water?
Just in water,
right.
Yeah. So, and then it goes into an alum bath. Now, there's alum. It's a crystal form. And that is probably the most important part. So I would dissolve this into a vat of water. So it's a natural product.
Oh yeah, just bring it forward so you can see it. Lovely.
There, yeah. Totally natural. It is totally safe. So I can actually pour the waste onto a compost heap afterwards.
Oh, so it's a natural substance.
Yes, it is a natural chemical. Yeah. So you basically have to do a percentage of that depending on your weight of wool that you're actually going to dye into a vat. And I actually bring it up to the boil and then leave it to soak again for at least another 24 hours in that vat, just to make sure that we're actually got a lovely mordanted yarn that can then go into our dye vat. So the dyes that for logwood, let's start with logwood. Here's up my logwood. Let me get that right on there.
So what is that then?
So logwood is actually literally a wood that comes from the tropics, and it's a very hardy wood. And I soak it, so I don't dye with the dye stuff in with the fibres because it ends up getting all stuck, and that would be just a nightmare. So I actually soak it, boil it up, and then take off the liquid, which is
the Logwood Shawl is the one that's on your desk, and the Logwood Bolero is the one you're wearing, just so people know what.
So the variety of colours I can get from that is huge. I can actually get blacks, I can get navies, I can get all sorts of colours.
So this is Logwood as well?
Yes.
The sock yarn that we're selling?
That is all the purples are. So you can get a huge variety of colours. You can also get a different colour depending on what mordant you use. Now I stick with alum because it's one of the safest mordants, but there's things like chrome, which used to be used a lot with natural dyes, but they've realised that it's not so nice for the environment, so people have backtracked on that enormously. But you can use other things that will affect it. I also then, once I've actually dyed with this, it will go into a third vat, an iron vat. Logwood needs more mordant than the other dyes because there is a chance that it will fade if you don't mordant it. That's the reason that you use the mordanting. And for natural dyes, a lot of people are worried about that because they think it will fade quickly. But if you mordant it correctly,
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And also, I suppose if you wash that, the dye won't come out.
That's right. And I then put it in an iron bath. Oh, sorry, that's Cochineal. I've got iron, which is literally I've put some bits of, let me get it right on there, some iron. In fact, I think there's an old weight in there as well.
Oh right, it is an iron bath.
Yeah, so it's some screws that are just literally in water. A spot of that will go into a bath, which I actually use these jam pans for that, and then put this in. But what it does do, it actually affects the colour that comes out. So alum brightens things, this dulls things.
So this has taken years of experience to work this out.
So I can mess with these colours to get the colours that I want. But unfortunately with logwood, the after bath with iron is a must. So
this is a very ancient art, isn't it?
Oh, you're talking, I mean, madder. I bought madder. I haven't actually got anything dyed with madder. Let me see if I did in the sense of yarn, but here's the raw fleece from our sheep that I bought as well. So there's some madder. We haven't actually got anything knitted up.
Oh, orange.
Now that colour, which is let me move all this back out there again, which is a root from India mainly, that is 5000 BC.
Wow.
They were using it 5000 BC.
That's amazing, isn't it? It's really nice that there are people like you that are continuing this then, keeping it going.
Yeah, it blows me away. It really does. I mean, the colour doesn't sell so well, I have to admit, but I just love it.
Do people not like orange?
It's a difficult colour, orange, isn't it? It's becoming more popular, actually, recently.
Yeah, I guess maybe it doesn't suit as many people as navy and purple.
Yeah, yeah.
I love orange.
It is beautiful, and you can get some really deep ones. I use solar jars, which literally I leave stuff in a jar out in the sun with a bit of dye stuff, and you can get some really deep colours with that. So I bought that just to sort of say
5000
yeah,
BC.
and that's my connection with it. So that's madder. Let's move that out of the way and let's carry on with it. So we've done logwood.
So the logwood kits, if you like the logwood, I just want to recap the kits. There's the shawl, which Emma's got on her desk. It's the same shawl as the one I'm wearing, but she's got the logwood version there. That's on there at the moment. So you get 3 100-gram hanks of the hand-dyed logwood yarn using the logwood bark. We've only got a few left of that one now. If you want to buy it, then I would put it in your basket and check out. Then if you like the Logwood Bolero that Emma's wearing, which is a completely different shade, a much paler shade.
Yes.
Is that because of how the how much you've dyed it all because of
So
the
I will,
yarn.
to get the lighter shades, I exhaust my vat right down, so the more you dye with it, the less colours in it.
Right,
So at the end of the vat, I can then put in the lighter shades.
Oh, okay.
So that's the way that I handle the lighter ones.
Right, because it's a beautiful colour.
Yeah. So to get that deep one, which the
to
sock
get the
one,
deep sock
I
yarn,
would leave that overnight in the
right,
vat.
okay.
Yeah.
And goes in first.
Yes, yes.
So if you just want to buy the yarn, and the sock yarn does come free with a free sock pattern, you won't get any extra. It's just I wanted you to be able to have something that you could do with it. Or if you've got other patterns that use 4-ply, then you can use this. But remember, if you knit with 2 lengths of 4-ply together, it becomes double knit. So if you've got patterns that are double knit, you can use 2 together, or you can mix colours as well. That's a really nice thing to do. So you could get an ocean green and a logwood and knit with them together. So if you've got a double knit pattern, you can use it together for that. So those are the logwood kits and yarns. Yeah. So next.
So let's talk, should we go indigo or
Let's talk indigo. I love the indigo.
Let's go for the indigo.
We can do green.
No, we'll do the indigo, which is our lovely.
Yeah, so we've just got the
shibori.
sock yarn in the indigo, the shibori.
So the way shibori is, the real beautiful textile shiboris is beautiful stitched fabrics that are tightly pulled together, and you get the most beautiful patterns. With this one, what I did was I literally got my hank, wound it up, and I literally put it into a knot like that and put it into my dye vat.
Oh, wow.
So the colours that you get from that are completely random.
Yeah,
and
completely.
I love it. I love it. It's very
absolutely, I
random.
love these socks.
Yes.
So no 2 socks or pairs will ever be the same.
That's right. Yeah. So that is lovely. So indigo, let's talk indigo. I've actually bought. Indigo is a completely different dye system to the other ones. The other ones you need to mordant predominantly, and then it goes into a dye vat and you're done. With indigo, it is a very chemical, not chemical as in chemical solution, but it is it's you have to master indigo to get it right.
Right,
because it
okay,
messes
so you
around.
need to know what you're doing.
You do need to watch it. With all the other dyes, you can have a mess around. You know, you can get some onion skins, and just throw them in a pot and put something in it and have a bit of a mess around, and you will get a colour out of it. Indigo doesn't work like that. You have to know what you're doing.
So where does indigo come from?
So indigo India, it's actually part of the pea family, believe it or not.
Oh, so it's a plant?
It's a plant.
Okay.
And it's the leaves. And what they do is they take them and then they reduce it right down. And I brought with me, if we can see it. Now, I don't want to touch it because I know I'll have indigo all over me.
Wow.
A cake. Okay.
So that's boiled
cake.
down pea leaves?
Sort of, yes. The leaves from it.
Yeah.
From it.
But with a little bit more to it.
Yeah. So I'll take that and I'll bash it down into a powder form, and then I will put it into a vat. But it won't dye up.
Can you move it over just because you've hidden a bit? That's it.
There we go. It won't.
Is it really solid, that?
That is a solid cake,
Okay.
yes. And the colour is really intense. So that would last me a long time using that. There's many, many socks in that
Loads of
amount.
socks in
many,
there.
many, many socks in that. But what you have to do with it is actually add agents to your vat in order to turn it alkali and also to reduce it, which means you have to take all the oxygen out of your vat. And when you put
That's very complicated.
Yeah, when you put the dye material in it, it doesn't go blue in the vat, it actually goes green. And when you pull it out of the vat, it oxidises and turns blue. And it is the most wonderful thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And to get a good vat, because it can mess you up, it can do all sorts of things like take the actual colour out when you want it to be added in if you don't get your alkali solution correct.
So this is really, it's a lot of time that's gone into just this one hank.
And I avoided it for a long time, indigo. And then I took myself on a course, learnt all about it. And then your indigo vat becomes, so I've got a permanent indigo vat on the go. It's permanently there. And I top it up with solution and I keep it going. And you get to know your vat. You know just by the smell of it, the look of it and everything that it's right or it's working. But it does misbehave with you. And I heard a lovely thing was, if your vat's not working, walk away and leave it. It's just having a strop.
It's just having a strop.
Yeah. So
I say that to my sewing machine quite often.
Yeah,
just
it is. Yeah, leave it and somehow it gets right.
Come back again.
Yeah. So indigo is a different ball game, but once you get into it, once you get to know how to use it, it is actually magical. It is a really lovely.
I mean, it is
dye.
fantastic. We don't have the indigo in the shawls, but we do have it in this yarn. But obviously you can, buy as many of these as you want. You can create loads of things because everything will look different.
Yes, yeah, it is lovely.
And remember, the sock pattern comes free with your hank. Oh, it's just lovely. I really like that. It's so soft. That's what I can't get over.
Yeah, it is. It is lovely. Really, really
like you
lovely.
say, gives Marina a run for its money.
It does. Yeah. So
now, ocean green next.
So now I can talk about ocean green because I do use indigo to get that ocean green.
I did wonder. I thought it does. I mean, like this hank looks very blue.
Yes. So
the ocean green is the cheddar shawl that I'm wearing at the moment, which is really, really. Look how long it is. It's an all-season shawl. I'd quite like to wear this in bed, actually. Having a cup of tea, reading a book. Yeah, I've got a great desire to wear this in bed, but it would be really nice in the summer as well, wouldn't it? And it's lovely. But also, the ocean green we are selling as 100-gram 4-ply hanks as well with the free sock pattern. And it comes in all sorts of colours. So that's a light ocean green.
That's a lighter one, yeah.
It's lovely. I like the length of these socks. They're really nice, aren't they?
Well, you get
Proper socks.
it's 110 grams actually in those hanks, so you get a decent. You can make a decent sized pair of socks.
Yeah, no, these are are decent. 100. Yes, that's a good length sock.
So I've got a son who's got very big feet, and you can fit him into.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's a good proper sock, isn't it? I really want a pair of those.
Yeah.
I have to buy some of them.
So to get the ocean green, I have to dye it yellow first.
Right.
So I mordant it first, so it goes into your mordant vat. It then goes into a dye that is called fustic. Again, it is a wood, and in fact, it was. And again, it comes from the tropics.
So it's just a tree.
Yeah,
tree
it's
bark.
a tree. It's very, very sustainable because it can be grown very quickly. And it was actually it came into Europe about in I think the 15th century, something like that. And the British Army latched onto it when they started producing khaki uniforms.
Oh, okay.
Because the yellow you get, so I haven't bought my other yellow with me. I use Weld, which is a yellow, and I use Fustic. Now, Fustic gives more of a paler, not a paler, but more of a duller yellow, whereas your Weld gets a brighter yellow. So I'll dye it with that. So it comes out yellow, and then I will put it into my indigo vat.
Of course, blue and yellow.
So the reason that I get all those different shades, I can put the same yarn in the same vats and it will come out slightly differently.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Because I've got to judge every time how much blue will go on to the depth of yellow. So I'll get a variation on the yellow, and then I'll have to judge the amount of blue to go on to the...
Okay, so even if you put all the
green.
same hanks that you've all put in fustic and then you put them all in indigo, they still come out different colours?
Yes.
But that's lovely, isn't it?
Yes.
Because when it's knitted, it changes colour again.
Yes. So for the shawls, I've managed to match them up. So they're pretty much, there's a slight variation on them, but pretty much all the kits are very, very similar in shade.
But it does change, but it does have a change of colour.
Yeah.
That's why I think the pattern works really well with it, because it's got these little peaks.
Yes, that
as it sort of changes colour, so you get some peaks that have got a darker green and some a lighter green. You would just never achieve this with a factory dyed yarn, ever.
Yeah.
Lovely pattern as well, I really like that. Is it quite easy?
It is actually. I'll demonstrate it in a bit if that's all.
We'll finish green.
Yeah, so that's how we get the... And I have to admit that probably that's the best-selling yarn that I've got in the wool shed, is that colour. Yeah, it is a real favourite, the ocean green.
So if you just want one hank of it, remember you can just buy the one hank, but you'll get whichever green comes in the post.
Yes.
They are very different.
And they are all of them are beautiful in their own right.
And this is your best-selling colour.
I think it is,
more than indigo.
Yes.
I guess it's just such a lovely colour, isn't it? Yeah. It's very complements everything, and it is natural.
People also who knit also really love that variegation yarn.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, because you can get some yarns that change dramatically, but if you knitted a jumper or a cardigan or something in this, it's just a gradual change.
Yes.
And it does look like you've picked it out of a hedgerow.
Yeah, I wish I had.
Have you not got a yarn tree?
No.
Think how much simpler your life would be. I'm growing yarn. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely though. Wow. So, if we want to do the Cheddar shawl, what was your inspiration behind this?
What was my inspiration behind it? I suppose what it was that I don't consider myself a knitter.
Right, okay.
Although I do an awful lot of knitting.
Well, they do an awful lot of knitting and dye yarn.
Yeah, I'm a cloth maker. That's how I consider myself. I would be a weaver, but you know, I've got a beautiful floor loom at home that does very little, whereas a pair of knitting needles goes all over the place, doesn't it? It's so transferable.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes.
So I suppose that knitting has just been a lot easier for me to do. And when I started in the wool shed, people started saying to me, "Well, where's your patterns?" And I then was saying, "Oh, right, okay, I better start designing." Never having designed a jumper in my life before. So all my jumpers were pretty straightforward. They were straight up and straight out, no messing, just easy peasy knit.
Yeah, rectangles.
Yeah. And I suddenly got to the point where I felt like I needed to just push the border a bit on what I could do, and I decided to have a look up a lace pattern, and then I started knitting, and this came out of it. You know, I carried on doing it, and it was just beautiful. I just started knitting a bit in a sample and kept on going, and before I knew it, I'd got this beautiful
so
shawl.
that colour, so that's the Logwood Grey. I mean, that looks beautiful.
Yeah,
Can
you might be able to see a bit of shade
look at
variation
that.
going on in that as well. I think towards that third
gorgeous,
board.
isn't it?
So
you can see how the yarn knits up now, can't you?
Yeah, it's meant to, I mean, if you flatten it right out, which you can do if you prefer, it's like a leaf really. That's,
oh right, okay. I'm
you
going to look at mine
stretch it
now.
out. So you could actually block these shawls and have a flat open shawl.
It does. That's amazing. So if you blocked it,
yes.
to just tell everyone what block it for anyone who doesn't know what that
So
is.
blocking is when you've finished your knitting, you dampen your piece out, and then you can either pin it out and keep it. So especially with pure wool like this, it will remember, so it will then become flat.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want it completely flat, you get leaves.
Yes.
But if you leave it,
yes,
you get egg boxes.
You get egg boxes, yes.
But that holds the warmth in. That's what I love about it.
Well, I just, because that egg box thing is actually the back of the
Oh, I
knit.
see. Oh, right.
But it wasn't until I actually started knitting it that I realised I preferred.
No, you're right. So when you stretch out the right side, it looks like leaves.
Yes.
But when you turn it over, it turns into an egg box.
Yeah.
That's very clever.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sure you probably wouldn't describe this as egg box shawl. I'm glad you didn't call it that.
So it is, if you're a beginner, a real beginner to knitting, this is probably a tad too far to go to begin with.
Okay.
But if you're somebody that has not done a lot of knitting but would like to just stretch yourself a little
So
bit.
you've learned how to cast on, you've learned how to knit and purl.
Yes.
And
you've
done a bit of stocking stitch.
Yes, and if you can knit two together, you can do this.
Then you're fine.
Yes.
So the needles we need for that, I'm pretty sure we've got those on the website. So you need 4mm needles for this.
Yeah.
Which we do have. They're the lovely blue ones. They all come in different colours depending on what mill, which is really nice. So they're the blue ones. So you will need 4mm needles. If you don't have those and you bought the yarn, put those in your basket because that's what you need for those. Okay.
Yeah. So do you want me to
Yes,
demonstrate
yes.
it? So it is over the pattern to get that leaf and the next block is a 12-stitch pattern.
Right.
And then that is repeated 4 times before then you move the pattern along one so that you get that.
So the leaves move.
Yes. So, yeah, the first few rows that you do, you have to really concentrate hard on what you're doing to get it. But once you've actually got that stitch in your head, it's such a repeat that you can start watching the television while you're knitting.
Yes, you know how good a knitter you are by how many repeats till you can start watching the television again.
Yes, yeah. So it's a lovely beginner's challenge to lace knitting, which is what I like, and that's basically where I am.
Yeah, so
with my
once you've
knitting.
learned stocking stitch and knit 2 together, and then you're fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I've
So you've worked yours on circular needles, but still straight. if you see what I mean. You're not
Yes.
stitching in the round.
You're not knitting in the round. And that actually took me a little while to get my head round circular needles and what you can and can't do with them. And you can use them just as a straight.
Yeah.
Again, with knitting, I find you kind of can read the rule book and then work out what suits you. It's that's the case. So there's no rhyme or reason as to why I've knitted it on these circular needles. It was just what was at hand and what I picked up, and off I went. So that's how I normally operate.
So there's only 4 kits left of the ones that Emma has. So if you want the Logwood Gray, you need to put it in your basket and check out.
Right, so
Yeah.
am I in the right place for the, where are we?
Yeah, right a bit maybe. You're sort of under a graphic. Perfect.
Yeah, there we go, there we go. Right, so
You have to try and knit and see where the graphic is. Oh my, yeah, it's very complicated.
here we go. If I
No
head
beginners
more
can come on
towards-
here.
Right, so I'm going
Perfect.
to start the pattern with the element that is not the leaf, let's call it that. So it is, sorry, I'm just going to breathe and do it. So I'm slipping the first stitch and then I'm knitting 2 together. And then that slip stitch, you take over the 2 knitted together. So you basically 3 stitches into 1, which pulls it together, which is what creates that lovely texture by pulling that in
Yeah,
together.
you can see it when I look at the pattern. I can see how it's all
Yeah.
bunched up together.
And then it's knit 4. So a lot of 4s in this pattern. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're on to the leaf bit. And the leaf bit is, all it is you make a loop, so your yarn goes over your needle, knit 1, make another loop and knit. And then you're back into it again. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to slip that stitch onto your right needle. And then we're going to knit 2 together. We're going to transfer that slip stitch over and knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to wrap the yarn round, make a loop, knit 1, wrap it around, and off we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to slip, knit 2 together, pass it over, knit 4.
Yeah, so it's very basic, just, you know, yarn over, knit 2 together. Although I'm saying that's very basic, but I can hear Hannah in the studio going, I so wish I could do that. She says, I've got arthritis just thinking about it. And I'm going, so it's just depends whether you knit or not, doesn't
yeah, it I think to begin with, it is a bit daunting, but because it's such a simple repeat.
Yes, yeah.
You
And
get
if you can
into
do
it.
knit and purl and stocking stitch, you know, this
Yeah,
is...
it is lovely.
But you
It
just
is
got to keep counting.
Yes, that 4. But after a while, the pattern will tell you
Right, yeah.
where you are.
A bit like when you're cabling and...
Yes, you know where
So
it
just
is.
to start with, you need to concentrate a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
But I like the way your pattern says, knit until the yarn is finished, leaving 3 metres. That's perfect, isn't
Yeah,
it?
of course
so
it
none of
is.
that measuring business. So you just
No.
keep going
Yeah.
until you've got 3
and
metres
Your
left.
tension is what it is. It will work its way out on this pattern. You don't have to worry about tension squares or anything like that. You just pick your knitting up and knit.
I know Hannah just says tension squares stress me out. Well, funnily enough, Emma was talking to me earlier about the importance of a tension square.
Yes.
That's lovely. So if you want the Cheddar shawl, you can either get it in the Logwood Gray, which is the one that Emma's currently knitting in, and that one is on the screen at the moment. Very, very limited in stock. The colourway that I am wearing, this beautiful ocean green, which I love, that's the one on screen at the moment. So you get the full pattern, 3 hanks, that's 330 yards of yarn, and then you can create the Fustic in an Indigo Ocean. It's a nice name, isn't it? Fustic and Indigo Ocean. Because that's yellow and blue, basically.
Yes, colours of the ocean.
Colours of the ocean.
Yeah.
And again, there's very few left of this one. So if you want the shawl, you need to Put it in your basket and check out. Right, let's move on to the Bolero, which can never work out whether it's Bolero or Bolero.
Well, we're Bolero over here and whatever you are
Yeah,
over
no,
there.
well, I was saying Bolero this morning and I said, is it because of Torval and Dean and Ravel's Bolero? And Hannah looked at me blankly and I realised she wasn't old enough.
Oh, dear.
So this is, why this yarn then for this? 'Cause this is silk and mohair.
Yeah, so this is your ultimate luxury, gorgeous, soft, fluffy
Right,
stuff, isn't it?
okay.
And I mean, I have to
Yes.
admit, I was one of those little girls that loved all fluffy, soft.
Right, okay. So you've got, and the blue, the indigo in this is really pale, isn't it?
Yes,
So this is the end of the vat.
So that's at the, so I have to test my vat out to begin with to work out where I am with it, and then at the end of the day I can start dipping those in. To get actually the deeper indigo colours, you don't leave it in the vat to get that like you would your logwood. You have to keep re-dipping. So that's been re-dipped about 3 times.
Okay, where
to get
is this?
that dark. Well, that is a 1 dip.
Oh.
So I sell it as 1 dip, 2 dips, 3 dips.
Oh, okay.
But normally the 3 dips is about, to get a 3 dip yarn, which is probably the deepest shade on that sock yarn, is probably about 7 dips to get something like that.
So this is your 1 dip Bolero indigo, or is that like a 1 dip logwood then?
Yeah,
it's very pale.
It's very pale, yes.
So you get, or
so we haven't talked about the pink of the dye, have we?
Cochineal.
Yeah, so it is slightly, you know, whether you're about the vegetarians, because Cochineal, you know, we grew up with Cochineal on the, just trying to see if, I have bought it. We grew up with Smarties that were Cochineal.
Oh yes, that is true.
So Cochineal is, I hate to say it, I am actually vegetarian in this, so I do have a few issues with it, but it is a beetle.
It was a beetle.
It was a beetle. They're dried, so I buy them whole dried. You can buy them ground down as well if you want, and then I will soak them, and you can see, let me get that down on the right level there.
See, I always thought cochineal was red, but it isn't.
Well, it is red. To get a red in natural dyes is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Incredibly difficult. So you can start messing, you can over dye things. So with your madder, which is your orange, and you can start to get different colours. But reds traditionally were very much sought after because of, you know, it's just really hard to get them. So yeah, so that's. I won't take the lid off because that is incredibly smelly.
It's a bit like your indigo. Oh, is it smell?
Yeah, because obviously it's a bug, isn't it, that's been soaked. So it's it's not going to be very pleasant.
Smell, though.
No, the yarn doesn't smell
lovely.
at all. Yeah, the yarn
actually
beautiful.
smells really nice.
So if I dyed straight with that, I would get quite a bright baby pink. But I then put my pink into my iron vat, which, if we remember, dulls
it. Yeah, I've remembered that. That dulls it. The other one brightens it.
And it sends it off into this beautiful smoky pink colour.
It is.
Yeah,
it is
absolutely
beautiful.
divine. It's
really sort of dusty ballerina pink, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
I love
really,
it. And
really
it does
lovely.
look like out of a hedgerow.
Yes. So a lot of people say to me, "Oh, do you use, you know, raspberries? Do you use beetroot? Do you use?" Because obviously, you know, you cut. In fact, I cut some beetroot up to roast yesterday, and you know, it covers your hand in bright pink.
Oh, your chopping
pink,
board's never the same, is it?
No, it's not. But it will. If you notice your chopping board, it goes grey.
Yes.
So those colours. Now, my son just will laugh because he's really into chemistry and I'm not. But there is a chemical within those colours that makes it so it's not a dye. It won't stay. You can't dye with it, which is such a shame, isn't it?
Why is that?
I know. I did research it. It goes over my head. I like the creative side of it. So there are very few things that will give you those colours, despite the fact that, as you say, in the hedgerow, there are a lot of it.
Well, yeah, you think of blackberries and sloes and beetroot on the hedgerow, but all of those colours and they don't work.
Yeah, it's the same with greens. If you think about it, you know, we're out there in nature, a lot of green. Can't get a green indigo. A green dye. I think some lichens you can get them from up in Scotland, but you have to dye it in yellow first and then blue.
So because
afterwards.
of this chemical, that's so odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to try dyeing then. See, I'd be thinking, right, beetroot.
I know, and I know, because there's a lot. I do get a little bit frustrated. There's a lot of natural dyeing going on at the moment with sort of, you know, sustainability and everything being nice, and people saying, "Oh, I've been dyeing." I think with the last one I saw and I could have cried was dandelions, and I'm like, no, no, you might get a bit of a colour, like a stain or something, but it won't last. Same with all your avocado skins and all of those. They're all lovely, but they're all fugitive. That's the name for them, which means the colour will escape, the colour will go.
Oh, okay. So it sounds a lovely idea, but you're not going to get proper yarn that you can knit with.
I can't sell those with those kind of dyes because it wouldn't, you'd get it in the post and it would
and it would have changed.
It would have
yes,
changed.
I would like to buy my ocean green
so my palette,
and it stay there forever.
Yes, my palette is really limited, but I know that it's...
You know it's safe, you know it, and you know where it comes from, you know what you've done it with, and it's going to work.
Yes, and it's going to be as strong as any chemical dye,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got about five minutes.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Demo.
Okay. That was gone quick, hasn't it?
I told you, it would just go whoosh.
So what I want
we could have a couple of hours, really.
What I want to discuss is, and I've actually if you buy the kit on the actual, I've actually put it in capitals really, because a friend of mine, Paula, and she'll laugh when she watches this programme, I've mentioned her because we laugh about this, she actually knitted it up and it came up very small because she didn't do attention to
Oh gosh, how
so
awful.
she was very naughty and I did tell her off.
The pattern will not work.
Yes.
If you are not working the same tension, I love it.
So now, tension squares, nobody likes them because it's a lot of effort before you get going. So, but please do them because it saves you a lot of time later on.
And it not fitting.
Yeah. So to get a good tension square going, so I've put on there, my tension square is 22 stitches times 32 rows equals 10 centimetre square. Now that is my tension, that's what I've created. So everyone else is going to be slightly different. And I would imagine that if which I have, I've done a sample one last night, it could be different again, because my tension will change over time.
Yes.
So what people normally do when they look at that is they will cast on 22 stitches if they're bothered to do a tension square and knit 32 rows. That is not the way to do a tension square. You've got to do more stitches and more rows than
I didn't know that. I would have done exactly that.
Yes. So
idiot.
I've actually cast on 40 stitches and done at least 40 rows. I just kept knitting last night till I decided that I didn't want to do any more. You then get your, and I do apologise because this is quite an awful tape measure that I've realised I've got here. So you then put your tape measure into the middle of it. You move over, that's it, there we go, move over it. And then I use pins actually, and I will pin the 10 centimetres and then count the stitches that I've come up with within that 10 centimetres.
Right.
And then I will do the same for the length. So your rows, I will measure off 10 centimetres and count, and that will give you your tension, which is what you need. Now, if your tension is different to mine, if it's a little bit out, you can pretty much go for it. 1 or 2 stitches out, that doesn't make a lot of difference. You might want to just add 1 or 2 in as you go along, but you might want to consider changing your needle size. So say if you come up with 30 stitches for your 10 centimetres instead of my 22, you need to go up a needle size, even just half or a quarter millimetre. So the pattern works on 3 millimetres, but you might want to go up to 3.5 or 3.25.
Right. And then if you get less than that,
then you go down.
Down, okay.
Yes.
And do you have to knit another tension square?
Would be advisable.
You should really,
Yeah, it's just such a shame because you can spend a lot of time knitting something, and a lot of people do knit a lot of garments and they find they don't fit or they don't work, and actually...
And that is a beautiful thing, and I imagine because it's quite a fine yarn, isn't it?
Yeah, so it does knit up relatively quickly because 3 millimetres is probably a larger needle than you would normally use with this yarn. But it gives that real lightness, which is just
but when you spend all the time and the money, it's got to be perfect. And you've created this pattern so it does fit people, because it is available in 8 to 10, 12 to 14, 16 to 18, 22 to 20 to 22. So it's available in 4 sizes as well. So you have calculated it to fit all sorts of people.
Yes.
So you're right. It's worth doing.
And you're not gonna use your yarn, because you just take your needle out and unravel it and do it,
and then you put it back in.
Yes.
But it is lovely. I don't know which colour I'd choose actually. I think I would choose the indigo actually, because I love indigo.
It's very sweet.
I think that's my favourite. Well, thank you, Emma. That's been fantastic. We really
Oh,
needed
you're
another
welcome.
hour, didn't we?
Yes,
We
we
could
did.
carry on.
Yes.
But that's fine because you can come back. We'll talk
Thank
about it all
you.
over again. That's been brilliant. So I'm going to do just a quick roundup of the kits before we finish because we've only got 5 minutes left. So let's talk about the lovely shawl that I'm wearing. It's sort of part of me now, really, isn't it? I think Emma might notice if I wear it. So in the kit for the Cheddar shawl, well, it's not just ocean green. It's fustic and Indigo ocean green, gosh,
Yeah.
which is a mixture between the blue and the yellow because obviously you can't dye green. In the kit, you get the full instructions to make this beautiful shawl and you get the 3 hanks of yarn, which is a 4-ply yarn and there's 110 grams
In each
ball.
Yeah.
So you've got in each hank. So it's all British wool. It's all naturally hand dyed and using no chemicals
That's
or
right.
artificial anything in Emma's shed.
Quite literally.
All is in her shed. I can never phone her after 9 o'clock. She's in the shed and there's no reception. She was phoned before 9 because she lives in the shed. I was thinking, worry it's a bit cold in that shed. And then also the other one that Emma was actually knitting, which is about to sell out. So if you want it, you really need to get it, is this beautiful, it's called Logwood Gray, but it isn't. It's, I don't know, it's slow purple or blackberries or slow ginnas and blackberries or it's that kind of colour. It's hard to describe, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful, beautiful, soft purple shade. Absolutely gorgeous. The other kit is the Emily Bolero, which is this beautiful bolero that Emma's wearing that's worked in kid mohair and silk. So you get 3 balls, 25-gram balls of this beautiful mohair and silk, and you get the full pattern. And that comes in 4 different sizes, from size 8 to 22. So covers all sizes, but do check your tension. The first one we've got there is the Logwood Gray, but this is a very, very soft lavender. Very, very, like a grey, I mean, it is a grey lavender, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a true lavender is slightly grey, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're very limited on stock of this one as well. So if you've got this one in your basket, you need to check out. Because remember, if it's in your basket, it's not yours until you've checked out. The next one is the lovely Smoky Cochineal Pink, which again is a grey pink colour. I'm trying to think what it reminds me of. It is sort of flowers, isn't it? There are sort of pink flowers, this kind of colour. But it's a really lovely. They're all of these boleros are really soft colour. And then the final one is the indigo. Remember, this is a one-dip indigo. We're now dye experts. This is a one-dip indigo, which means it's much lighter. So this is the lightest one. Really soft. It's very baby. Be brilliant for baby clothes, wouldn't it? Very soft. Lovely. But if you just want to buy the yarn on its own, we can do that too. So we've got the indigo, which is a mixture of all dips, because you've got a mixture of the natural and the indigo. That every hank of yarn is enough to make 1 pair of socks, and quite big ones as well, because with each hank you will get a free pattern. So you can get quite long socks like this. That's what you'll get from 1 hank. So if you've got any other patterns that you want to do this with, if you want to multi-buy and you want to buy more of them, the pattern is free. And so you can either knit a pair of socks or buy quite a few of them. The next colour is the Fustic and Indigo Ocean Green, which comes in all sorts of shades. Just depends what you get. And again, that comes with the free sock pattern. So 1 ball will knit 1 big pair of socks. This one's the most popular. Well, there you go. Emma did say it was her most popular colour. But you don't have to use it to knit the pair of socks. You can use it for all sorts of things. If you knit 2 strands of it together, it becomes double knit. And the final one is the deep logwood. That's the most amazing purple. It's amazing that comes from a tree that's not even purple. But that will knit the colour like that. That's beautiful, isn't it? So thank you so much for joining us today on Yarn Lane. This has been brilliant. First time we've ever done this hand-dyed yarn in this way, this natural, so it's been great. Yarn Lane will be back again on Wednesday. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, it's easy to shop on the website. Just click on Watch Live and all the products are listed below. And it's only 1p&p per day. So once you've bought one thing, then it's free P&P for this time. So thank you so much for joining us, and Yarn Lane will see you again on Wednesday.